What's up, guys? Today I want to discuss some news about Anthem that we've gotten from a Reddit post. I wanted to talk about this because of Division's full launch being tomorrow, March 15th, on all platforms. And with it comes an outlet that many frustrated Anthem players will take to get their looter-shooter fix. So basically what I'm referring to is a response from Bioware on a really detailed post, pretty much just asking them what the heck they're doing about a variety of different things. And since it's pretty much the first thing we have heard about them since the tweet, I thought it would be a good idea to discuss it. And before I get started, I just want to say I want this to be a discussion piece. I genuinely would like to hear your feedback on it and how you feel about Bioware's response. My opinions on it, the whole thing. I'm not going to read the whole original post because it doesn't really fit with what I'm trying to do, but I'll post a link in the description for anyone that wants to read it fully. Also, it's really long, and I don't think you guys want to hear me talk for 45 minutes like a 4th grade read-along. But here we go on the response. Communication. Pre-game versus post-game release. This is basically in response to the original post saying that they talked a whole lot more before the game came out than they are now. The response is, to start, things used to be a lot friendlier here for the dev team members who normally don't talk on social media forums. They could answer questions, give information, and know they aren't going to have people getting upset at them. Why would a dev member take time away from working on the next update to post when they know it's likely to be met with hostile replies, or they get flamed because they can't answer other questions that players are asking? I don't mind posting here when things aren't so nice because that's my job. For the devs, it isn't their job, and I'd like to ask people to remember that when replying to them. When some people say, be nice or the devs will stop posting, it's 100% true. Be respectful and constructive with your feedback and more team members will likely reply. If you spend any time in the Reddit forum lately for Anthem, it is brutal. They do not like to be told anything that they don't have in their own core belief systems, and they are vicious against any developer that comes in and says anything, so I 100% agree with this. People need to chill out. It's really difficult to do what they're doing, even though there's a lot of flaws with this game. You can't jump all down their throats and expect them to want to reply to you, especially when it's not their jobs and they're going above and beyond to do it before. Next up, aggravating the community by acknowledging trivial things over major issues. This happens in like every game ever, and I'm finally glad to see a developer say something about it. The response is, I have been acknowledging issues that aren't the major ones you mentioned, but that's because I can quickly check in on those and work with the team to see how fast we can get them fixed. I also report major issues, but until I get word back on them, there is nothing else I can say. Issues like the Masterwork embers not dropping. I can quickly bring the attention of the team and we can get fixed. I think it's better that I address the things I can as quickly as I can instead of nothing at all. Also, I try to avoid saying things like thanks for the feedback, I'll share it with the team too many times in replies to posts. Loot though, all I can do is point out what studio leadership shares on channels. They are very aware of all the conversation going on around loot, and when they have more details to share, they will. He then goes on to discuss the EA help tweet about quick play. I completely understand what he's going for here. He has to be able to answer the questions he can, and not talk about things that he's honestly not allowed to talk about, or answer things that he doesn't even know about. So cut him some slack. He's going to answer what he can, and not what he can't. That's basically the gist of it. Next up, they talked about being confident about the patch notes. This was a big one for me personally, so their response is, I said this before, but nothing was hidden on purpose in the patch notes. The truth is patch notes come together late in the update process, and I do everything I can to ensure they are accurate, but sometimes things slip by with all the moving pieces. I'd much rather put together patch notes even if they are missing a few things instead of doing generic ones that just say various bug fixes and improvements. Here's looking at you, Bungie. I'll work with the team to get this process better, but we still may miss something from time to time, especially if it is something that gets added to an update late in the process. We will never hide a nerf or change in the patch notes on purpose, even if it's something we know the community won't like. And if we do put something in the community doesn't like, we'll do our best to explain why that particular change was made. Now, I agree with almost everything this guy is saying, except for this part. I'm not buying half of what he's saying here, simply because there's a difference between client-side updates and server-side updates. When you push us a patch and you give us the patch notes for us to download and read over and see what we're getting, that's one thing. But whenever you change things on the server side and don't tell anybody, that's entirely different, and that's what you call a stealth nerf, and you cannot tell me that Bioware did not do this, changing the drop rates, whenever they were bugged, fixing the way that Masterwork Embers works for your monthly progress, making you have to grind harder, all that stuff. You cannot tell me that they're not aware of it and that it all just happened to coincide with not being in the patch notes. Not buying it, sorry. Next up, not learning from previous mistakes. This basically just goes over the whole thing about EA and Andromeda and all this kind of stuff that isn't really pertaining to the game. But at the same time, if you want to go back and read that, I'll link the post out in the description, like I said. Discarding feedback. This was basically in regards to the original poster saying that Bioware had discarded all player feedback and they're not listening, all that kind of good stuff. But I can't see how that's the actual case, and that's what this guy basically says as well. So to summarize, he's like, man, we are listening. We're doing the best we can. We've got a lot of work to do. Let's be real. Lack of content. He says this isn't something he's going to go much into. He doesn't have any control over these kind of areas, and that makes sense. It's not his job to do that, and whenever somebody up top says, hey, tell them about drops, they can do it. Until then, it's all very hush-hush. That's why we have data miners. That's why they do what they do, because nobody wants all that information leaked. Last thing they talked about was turning a good game bad. He says, all I'll say on this is that Anthem is here to stay. Do we have a lot of work to do to fix parts of the game? Yes. And the team is committed to making improvements and releasing new content. Now, this is a very well written post, and I agree with the majority of it. There are a couple little bits and pieces where I can see the corporate guys twisting their fingers in it, making it seem a little bit better than it is with the patch notes and everything. But for the most part, I think it's pretty good. Does Anthem have a lot of problems? Yes. Do they have a long road? Yeah. But it's nice to see that they know they're not going to abandon this, because that's what a lot of people were worried about, EA abandoning Anthem because it's not keeping up the money. Do I think it's going to be too little too late? Yeah, probably. I don't think it's going to be able to recoup all the players that it lost, because the Division, from everything that I've seen, from what I've looked at, from what I've played, all that, there's not that many issues with its launch. It's got an expansive endgame, the loot system's pretty good. You know, we're not too far into the Division right now, and the full drop's coming tomorrow on the 15th, like I said, but I don't think it's going to be able to compete with something that is stable, it's been tested, and Anthem might be something that we should probably revisit later down the line, because let's be honest, it's just not ready. Now, I'm having a lot of fun playing it, I know a lot of you guys are as well. I'm not going to abandon this game personally, and I hope that you guys don't either, but let me know down in the comments about how you're feeling. Are you switching to Division? Are you going back to Destiny? Are you picking up something new? You know, let me know how you guys feel about this, and how his response kind of affects the way that you're going to perceive this game in the future. So that's all I have for you guys today. Leave me a comment, I'll be sure to reply to you. Like this video, it really does help me out a lot. Subscribe to the channel for future Anthem and other gaming content. With that, guys, I'll see you in the next video. Have a good one.